Hello and welcome back everybody. It's Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. What if your husband catches you with a man you work with in your marital bed and he put you out of the house? Do you think you deserve a second chance? Let's hear all about it in today's story. Also, if you like what I do in a daily basis, please give this video a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel.
I was caught by my husband with my AP of 9 months. D-Day was in May 2020 when he walked in on my AP and I in our marital bed. He put me out of our home for 3 days, burned the bed, and let me come home and decided he'd give a second chance. We've been together for 22 years, married for 21, with 3 children, 13 and 10-year-old boys, 7-year-old girl. January 1st was our anniversary, and we spent the weekend connecting on a level we have not done our entire marriage. It was an interesting weekend, to say the least. We talked a lot about what had changed in us the prior 7 months after D-Day. Keep in mind, we'd both been doing individual counseling and marriage counseling every week since. This was the first real time we'd sat down and talked with no mediator, and I had to come to grips with how much I truly hurt him. We held nothing back and pulled no punches. And yes, it was painful hearing him say that he'll never see me the same way again. But he did tell me he still loves me, and he's still in love with me, and that January 1st, 2022 will be our 2nd anniversary of our new marriage.
Now, OP says that her husband said that this is their new anniversary, which is built on transparency and honesty.
Another topic came up over the weekend as well. One I feared would come, but knew was unavoidable. By his own accord, my husband opted not to tell any of my family about my AP, and he told me not to tell them either. In my family, I'm the angel, the darling daughter who could do no wrong, and I come from a traditional Southern Christian upbringing. Suffice to say, no one in my family is going to take it well. I'm 40 years old and still fear the reaction of my mother and father. But after some soul-searching between us both, we've decided the time has come for me to face the music. We can't continue to move forward with the reconciliation without the truth being known to all. As of now, the only people who know of my infidelity are me, my husband, my best friend, who I stayed with when he put me out, his parents, who he told the day he caught me, and of course my AP, who has long gone since and been out of the picture. We also decided we would tell our children as well. We're sure they've noticed the tension between us over the last few months, especially our oldest. It's time they know, so we can teach them that my actions were wrong, and they may learn from my poor choices and not repeat them. We're going to have a talk with the kids tonight after dinner and tell my parents when we go see them this coming weekend.
Now, OP says that she is really terrified of this.
I know, I betrayed my husband in one of the worst possible ways, so I have no right to back away from this penance. But I'm still scared of what the outcome will be. My parents love my husband. He's like the son my father never had, as I have 3 sisters and no brothers. Just the idea of their disappointment is tearing me up. And forget about my sisters, especially my oldest. They're definitely not going to be kind. I know they all love me, and their heartbreak and harshness will come from a place of love, but unearthing this to them is going to be rough. Still, it has to be done for us to move forward, and my husband will be right by my side, holding my hand, he said he would, as I do. I'm not looking for any kind of advice or anything. I just needed to get this out into the ether. I know there's a few folk out there invested in our story and rooting for our success. This is just another step in that long process for me to help him heal and to heal myself.
Now, OP and the husband decide that they are not going to tell the kids the whole details.
They know that things have been rough between us. We're just going to sit them down and tell them that we're both going through a difficult time and that we're sorry if the way we've acted in the last few months have made them sad or uncomfortable. That we're trying to work what's happening out between us, and that we will all be okay. Edit 2. After further discussion, we did a 180 on the decision somewhat. We got the kids together, and I told them that I had done something to hurt their father months ago, and that's the reason why we had been acting weird around each other, as our 10-year-old would say. We assured them that everything was going to be fine, and told them even grown-ups can make bad choices. There weren't many questions from them, as they generally understood. So that hurdle is done. We've also decided that, as far as telling my folks, seeing as we seem to be heading in the right direction as far as rebuilding our marriage, it's perhaps best to keep my infidelity between us. I'm the one who, more or less, pushed for telling them because my guilt is still getting the better of me.
Now, here is a small update.
I showed my husband the resounding response to this post in regards to reporting my affair to my former employer. After an hour or so discussion, I've decided I'm going to do it. It's going to let a major cat out of the bag and probably ruin my chances of ever going back to my old company, but it's a cross I'll just have to bear. Also, one person asked, did I ever have intention of ever going back to work regardless? The answer is no. I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 7 months since I resigned, and I've come to enjoy it. I get to be around my kids a lot more, as well as my husband. It's nice not having to schedule spending time with each other based on the 4-hour window we had of free time between our individual work schedules.
Now, here is the last update.
7 months ago, as part of my husband's required stipulations for reconciliation, I resigned from my executive position because my AP was still working there. Rather than make him face the music and implicate him, I tucked tail and ran, namely because AP and my husband had a confrontation days later. I just wanted to be gone from it all. So, 2 weeks ago, my husband and I spoke about this, and we've decided we'd address things with my former employer. That Monday, I called my former office, specifically my former regional manager, to explain the grounds of my resignation. He told me that the HR manager would be notified and I'd need to provide proof for such an allegation.
OP went to the office personally to provide all proof, a meeting with both regional and HR managers.
After a 2.5-hour meeting, explaining why it had taken me 7 months to do so, they informed me they'd alert the Northeast office, where my AP will return to, and would likely reach out to me later in the week with the Northeast regional manager on the matter. I was also, and expectedly, relieved of my role as consultant for my former assistant, who had taken over my position. That Thursday, the Southeast and Northeast RM, Southeast HRM, and I had a video conference where I shared the same info that I had done so that Monday. I was told that they had a similar meeting with my AP the previous day. The details of that meeting weren't divulged to me, they just alerted me it had happened. This meeting was a lot shorter, only an hour. They told me they'd review all of the info and make a decision within a week. Yesterday, I get a call from my former assistant, who now knows of what happened because of a company-wide executive email was sent out stating that AP has officially been put on administrative leave due to a violation of company policy. That pretty much means they're in the process of finding and slotting in a replacement before they fire him. So, that's the story as of yesterday. To everyone who has had kind and even not so kind words about me, thank you for your feedback. My husband has seen a bulk of your responses as well. Farewell, and take care.
End of the story. Well, OP, you could have just moved in with AP. That way, at least there was a chance your husband finding true happiness. Now he would be just living in a self-made illusion. I would not say living in a fake illusion is bad, but some would prefer a harsh reality over that. Your husband really deserves better than you, so do your kids. I would be disgusted and ashamed of you if you were my mother and would cut you off my life for good. Please divorce that good man. Let him find an honest, loyal and respectable woman. Well folks, that's all we have on today's story. Before we go, let's listen to a few comments by the beautiful community. The first comment is by the Big Pickle.
I'm all for your husband for slapping this guy's head in, but the fact is that you two had consensual relations repeatedly for months, and you wanted to do it repeatedly. In fact, you chased it. With all due respect, you didn't deal with AP, you made yourself feel better by making it M's fault. Yes, you had to leave your job as a condition to keep your husband, but you didn't leave because of a company policy. Forcing him out is just an attempt at making yourself feel a bit better, like it was his fault. Women have control over physical relations, not men. You knew what he was about. You knew he wasn't relationship material. You knew he wasn't trying to manipulate you. You knew what you were doing every step of the way until you were literally caught in the act in your marital bed at home. Your husband wasn't expected back that day for what? Hours? Don't forget that. And frankly, if AP hadn't been so rude with you post-discovery, I have to believe you'd be singing an entirely different tune. You were there and you know it. What if AP was much more apologetic, sympathetic, and empathetic? I hope you and your husband will make it, but I know I couldn't. A drunken Christmas midlife mistake? Okay, maybe. But what you actually decided you would do, and what you did, and how long you did it, and who you decided you would give yourself to, and even when your husband knew, and you only stopped and came to Jesus after you were undeniably caught. The ruination in your path is actually pretty astounding. Thank you for sharing your story. It's helpful for people to know.
The second comment is by Za Bandit.
I find it instructive to observe what is not said when people tell their stories. This is a very factual and emotionless recitation about a very emotionally charged subject. There's no acknowledgement of any feelings, good or bad, towards the AP. Not many here would believe getting your AP fired is an emotionless experience. I've learned it's prudent to get suspicious when this happens. It's a signal to start paying closer attention and probing that area if you're hearing this as an involved partner. That's one lesson being a BS taught me. Another is if you're not a lowlife yourself, you tend to give others much more credit than they deserve.
The third and last comment is by Vijay1973.
I've read your posts with increasing interest. You are one of a handful of WS that appears to have the same amount of regret that my wife has shown over the years. We have survived her affair now over 15 years ago, but I have never been satisfied with her answer of why, even though I believe it is as honest as she can be. With all the effort she has put into our reconciliation, it is difficult to believe she could take the last step and lay in any man's arms. I don't think I will ever understand this. How could you do that? Do you know?
Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.